What is up, you guys? It's the Fallout What If here, and today I'm doing a What If. I'm glad you guys stayed for so long. That I am grateful for all that. Also, the reason why I wasn't posting, like I said, it's work, and I keep doing a lot of things right now. But I am starting to get back my rhythm. And I was having issues in the past, so I'm still glad that you guys are watching my content. I gotta admit myself, I was a little scared. I thought, oh man, people are start gonna hate me and all that stuff. But no, you guys stuck around. I'm glad. But without further ado, we had to make a video, and this is what if Deku was, well, technically the brother of Kota, or what if Deku was Kota's brother? Part 3. So, recap, basically Deku and Kaminari were in the, how do I say this? They were in the Heroes vs. Villains exam, and Deku, you know, obviously he won, and all that stuff, but after speculating and seeing how I'm going to do things, this is going to take a weird turn. For the better or for the worse, who knows? It's a lot of both, either way. But what happened after that? Well, Deku went home with Kota. Deku picks up Kota. Kota and him walk to their house. But another person comes over there, aka Kaminari. Why? Because I thought, hey, might as well. I'm going to have Kaminari as the only ship. I thought about also putting female lead up at the same time. I mean, it's all good for, you know, all that stuff, but like, But anyway, so what happened was this. Deku went home with Kota, and so did Kaminari. Kaminari already decided to, like, hang around with him. And this is during the time Kota and Deku are training. You see, Kota has been using his water a lot more. To the point where, like I said, he can now use jet streams. He can somewhat do what Bakugo does, somewhat push himself with enough force, and at least jump higher. Not only that, but Kota can also use it to somewhat cut things, because he's starting to, like, somewhat make the pressure, or how do I say it? He's starting to concentrate it into a smaller yet powerful hit or force, which actually does cut things. So I'm actually glad I did that. Not only that, Kota, after, you know, talking with Deku has gotten one for all. Let me say this here. If I wasn't going to do it in the past, I thought about doing it and actually doing something with it. And this is actually for the story's sake, more than it's for the power's sake, because Deku's going to get powerful either way with One for All. One for All. So, here's how it goes. Deku goes around and basically talks with Kota. Kota and him are, you know, usually talking. And Kaminari just went, well, technically she went to their house and basically started to chat with Deku. Deku. Yeah, Deku. It's kind of hard to say his name nowadays. Deku. Fudge. But anyway, so Deku basically talks to Kaminari, and while they're having a conversation, Kota's holding a piece of paper, and he's reading it. And here's the thing: Deku has used the rumble ball, or the rumble ball, to basically transform into, or somewhat swap places with his older self. And he gave Kota a piece of paper, and this is actually going to be needed in the story. And what happened is this: Kota was reading it, and he had this weird look in his face. But while that was happening, Kaminari and Deku were talking. And here's how it went. Oh, Deku, how did you do all that with just your electricity? What do you mean? Well, when you kicked Ida, you somewhat used a lot of force. And this isn't just your typical, you know, electricity kick. It was more of a... It was more like air pressures were just building with you. And Deku just didn't have nothing to say about that. It was like, ah, shit, I gotta keep that secret from her. Can't do all that, now can I? And Deku basically said, look, it's pretty much nothing. I didn't think that it would matter. It was just more of my speed and my strength coming into place. And this is when basically they keep talking a little bit more until Kota actually keeps reading the piece of paper, because it's a fairly long piece of paper. And then there's some, you know, written in the back, so yeah. Anyway, not only that, he's also gotten something that looked like what Deku wears from time to time, which are the horns. He doesn't know why he's wearing them, or why Kota has. Kota does not know why the man gave it to him, and why did he look so much like Deku? Who knows, to be honest. But anyway, Deku after that told Kaminari bye, and Kaminari said she'll see him later. And after all that happened, Deku went to Kota hiding the piece of paper and also hiding the horns, and Deku saying, hey little one, hey buddy, what you doing? Kota said, nothing, I was just checking around stuff and I was just bored. Deku says, do you want to get back to training? He says, okay bro. And after all that happened, they went to sleep. And this is when Kota wanted to say something, but he really can't. See, he doesn't know whether to believe what the paper said. He doesn't know at all. So, he decided to follow him at school. Because, technically the note did mention about the USJ. And, here's the thing. If you guys are wondering, how did Kota get the paper and the horns? Well, because older Deku had it. He knew this time was going to happen. It was kind of calculated already. Besides all that, older Deku would have already had it just to make sure, so that way if he was teleported, he at least had it on him instead of like trying to wait until the next couple of hours to, you know, come back. So, basically Deku, from now, you know, the present day Deku, basically was talking with other students and all that stuff, and they got to the bus. But they found out something. There was already a kid in there, and that happened to be Kota. So, after all that happened, Kota and Deku were talking. Deku was thinking to himself, Kota, what are you doing here? And this is when he says, surprise? And this is when he just pinches his cheek and says, I thought you were going to school today. Did you literally skip school? And this is when he says, I think it's already obvious. Why are you telling me? Because I want to hear it from you, little one. And this is when he basically just says, oh boy. So, what happened and why are you here? This is when he says, I just wanted to see what you were doing today. And this is when he says, I feel like you're hiding something from me. And this is when he laughs suspiciously. He says, what do you mean? It's nothing. I'm just, you know, wanting to, Okay, Kota, come on now. Out with it. Out with it. Speak, boy. Speak, boy. Sorry about that. Me and Lastor were talking a while ago. Doing the Kratos voice. But anyway. Deku, after a couple of minutes finding out that basically he took someone's keycard and used it to get in. Not only that, Deku went to the... What is it called? Ah, sheesh, I forgot what it's called. Oh yeah, so basically he went to the bus before anyone else could because he knew where the bus was coming from due to the fact that Deku was texting him. So to make sure that everything was alright, basically he did all that. Now, how do I say this? Okay, so after all that happened, Deku and Koda, were still talking a while, and he says, fine, you can stay with me. Just make sure that you don't, after this, you go, well, after this, you gotta make sure that you don't, skip school again. And this is when Koda was okay about it and said, alright. Now, after all that happened, they went into the USJ. And Deku saw, 13, and he was like, alright, we got an awesome hero now. Pretty cool. Her quirk is called Black Hole. That's cool. Not a sexual joke, mind you. Not a sexual joke indeed. Anyway, so Deku was talking, technically listening to 13 when he noticed something happening. And this is when he sees the Nomu. Not the Nomu, my bad. He saw, Kurogiri and Shigaraki and the rest of the villains. And basically, Deku got up and just said, wait, I thought this was supposed to be hero training. Rescue training. And this is when they see a bunch of villains and they're like, that's not part of the course. Everybody, let's back the hell up right now. This is when Deku just starts talking to 13 and Aizawa and saying, what do we do? And basically, 13 and Aizawa just said, get behind us, we'll take care of you. You know how that turned out. But anyway, Deku just started to shock up electricity in his hands and just starts to pound it. And basically, electricity comes around him, but Deku is using full cowling. He learns it a much more earlier on, due to the fact that, since he has a quirk, he understands how to mitigate electricity around him. Not only that, due to the fact that he sees Kaminari shock herself every single time that she uses a quirk, instead of learning how to control that, all that stuff happens. Just, he's pretty much more prepared for it. So, after all that happened, Deku started to just run up and just charge in to fight the other villains. And one of them tries to hit him, but Deku just basically ducks, and after that just kicks him straight into the freaking chin. After all that stuff happens, he grabs his neck and just shocks it, rendering him basically unconscious. And Deku just hits the freaking ground, shooting out electricity, and basically making it ripple for everyone to get a shockwave out of it. So, while that was happening, basically Kurogiri just throws everyone in different directions, and Deku's in the city, or the city course, or whatever where basically the city was at. Basically seeing, what's his face, Bakugo and Kirishima. Koda was with, what's her freaking face? Was with Kaminari, Momo, and Zero. Give me a second here, people. So anyway, I forgot what was. Oh yeah. So Deku is in the city. Koda is with Kaminari and Momo and Zero, and basically Froppy and Mineta are going to be in a tighter situation, but they will eventually get off there. How would I explain this as well? Not only that, Deku, when in the city, sees Bakugo and, like I said, Kirishima. So, yeah, it's not like they're the happiest bunch around to just see each other. Well, probably Kirishima is, but, Kirishima's like a puppy. He'll like anyone who's there. But anyway, after that, Deku just started to cause, mayhem by shooting electricity. Not only that, just grabbing people and choking them out to death. you know, just doing what he usually does. But when Deku saw that there was going to be a lot more people and Kota is not with him, he realizes that, yeah, he's gonna have to hurry the hell up, because in a situation like this, life and death, well, technically, it's going to be a very scary day for him. But anyway, he starts running. He sees everyone fighting, but it's as if he doesn't care about them. The only person he cares about right now is nowhere to be seen, and that's all he knows. So he just keeps going and going and going. And for a while, he's somewhat making it. He's making it to places, and just, you know, running around, seeing if there's anyone there. But all he just met is villain, Mineta. Never mind. You know, villain, and it's just irritating him. So when Deku eats the Rumble Pill, because he thinks maybe his future self knew where he was, and maybe he might stop this. This is when he sees he sees where he's at, and he realizes and saying, "Oh no, I hope I'm not too late." Running as fast as he can, using full cowling, 100%, and just running there. You see, because time changed, it became much more clear to see that Deku's older self is now much more stronger. It's kind of like when he works, the other self works as well, because it's actually his past that's working hard to create the future self of him. But when older Deku just saw the guy with electricity, he's holding Kota in his hands instead of Kaminari. This is when he just charges up and actually just stomps on his freaking back. And this is when he just grabs his head and just shocks it with so much electricity, it almost looked like he was about to pop that head open. Deku gets up, and after that he sees Kota. He picks him up and tells him, Didn't I tell you to read the note?" And this is when Kota says, there's no time right now. Look, we need to get everyone out of here. In a couple of minutes, I'm not going to be here anymore, so we gotta hurry this up. And they start running as fast as they can. Basically, Deku carrying Kota and Mineta. I mean, Kota and freaking Kaminari, since she technically sacrificed her brain power to actually stop the villains for a while. So, after all that happens, he gets back up, and then after that, he just runs towards the other people, seeing the Nomu fighting. And Deku gets ready, grabbing his freaking horns, and then just putting them on his head. And this is when he just starts charging up, full cowling 100%, running towards him. Technically seeing the Nomu about to strike, but he realized something. There is a downside to him having his future self there. It's his past self that actually suffers, because he's not actually experiencing the battle itself. So, while that happens, Deku's going at a lower percentage every time, and it's just making him weaker and weaker. Because these are the times that he needs to actually get stronger. But since he's in the other world, he might as well hurry up and just, get him to train. So after a few days, after a couple of, minutes, he reverts back. And then, it's swapped out. Then he just looks around and sees that, well, this is going to be a weird thing. And after that, just sees a Nomu straight crossing him in the face. Deku is on the ground right now, and then he's kind of dazed. This is when basically Shigaraki just sees him and says, So you're the one All Might wanted. Technically, you're the one that All For One wanted. Well, kid, sorry, but I have to bring you in. And actually he's about to grab him, but this is when Deku just shoots out electricity from his fingertips, shocking him in the freaking eye, causing Shigaraki to be blind temporarily. And after that, he saw Kurogiri about to, use its teleportation. But this is when he jumps up. And after all that, just hits a freaking 10% to the freaking ground. And this is when it causes shockwave, kind of making, awful Kurogiri kind of blind. This is when he sees the Nomu again, about to punch him. But he realizes what he's supposed to do. Charges everything into his one hand. And basically says 20%. Full cowling. And then is about to do a straight up punch into the freaking chest of the Nomu. But this is when the Nomu just doesn't do nothing. And he sees what's about to happen. And the Nomu's about to grab him again. But Deku dodges. He goes under him and actually goes on top, grabbing him, trying to choke this guy out. But he doesn't understand why he's not waking. He doesn't understand why the Nomu's still, conscious. Hold on here. He doesn't know why the Nomu is cautious. Fudge. What? He doesn't know why he's still awake. There we go. So, while that's happening, Deku is realizing that this creature may not be technically human anymore. As far as he knows, this is a weird creature, so he may or may not actually understand what's happening. But let me just summarize for this again. The guy is basically finding out that the Nomu is a genetically created artificial intelligent human that doesn't understand anything besides listening to what other people say, but still has the mental capacity to understand what they say and understand Japanese and possibly English. But anyway. So anyway. What happens is this. Deku just looks at him. His eyes meeting the Nomu's. And this is when Deku's starting to shoot up electricity up in his legs. And this is when he just shoots, basically just jumps straight towards the freaking Nomu. And grabs his freaking eyes and just tears it off. This is when the Nomu just grabs him, almost cracking his back. And this is when he just grabs him and just keeps punching him, trying to get the Nomu off of him. When Shigaraki was about to say the words, squish him, Deku just grabs his freaking head and just starts charging it with electricity, not knowing that the brain was actually the weak point. And this is when the Nomu is technically dead. After all that happens, he just, oh boy, I'm tired. Sorry about that. When the Nomu just, is dead, Deku gets up and looks at Shigaraki. The moment he was about to walk towards him, he just fell unconscious. This is because he actually got his back a little damaged. Well, not a little damaged. He got squished by a Nomu. It's not little. But he knows that he can't just get up. He has to try something. He has to try anything. But this is when he sees Kota right there to stop him. And this is when he says, "Get out of the way, kid, or else we'll kill you." And this is when Deku just hears the words, "I will protect him with my life." And this is when he sees Kota right there, his arms wide open, and he's blocking the freaking path of Shigaraki and Kurogiri. And this is when he says, "I'm not going to ask you again. Move." And this is when he says, "You'll have to kill me first." And this is when Deku just sees Shigaraki about to grab him. Kota's technically scared. He doesn't understand. If you guys are trying to say, "Oh, why doesn't he use his powers?" Well, there's one thing that stops people at times from doing what they love. Fear. He has a lot of fear right now of what's going to happen. So, while this is happening, Deku is just trying his hardest to somewhat get up. And this is when he just starts getting angrier. And his horns start to charge up. And this is when he's about to get up. And then he falls down to the ground. This is when Shigaraki just says, "We have no time for this. Just move him." And this is when Deku gets very mad because he doesn't know where he's going to be moved at. And he already has his brother in front of him. So this is when he just slams his fist to the ground, almost cracking the freaking... Well, he's technically cracking the ground around him. But this is when Shigaraki just says, you still have some bark in you. You still have some fight in you. This is when Deku says, you leave my brother alone. He didn't do nothing wrong. He's just trying to protect me. And this is when Shigaraki just grabs his freaking mask off. And he says, it doesn't matter. What matters is the fact that I have to kill you. And Deku is about to see Shigaraki grab Kota. But this is when the doors fling open. I am here. And this is when he says, young man, are you alright? And this is when he sees, wait, Kota? What are you doing here? And Kota's seen him before. It's not that big of a deal, you know. Still doesn't like heroes. But anyway. Oh boy, sorry about that. Kota just says what's about to happen. And this is when he just shoots out a Detroit Smash into the freaking air. And basically doing some kind of airstrike about to hit Shigaraki. The freaking Kurogiri just blocks the freaking, or technically takes the hit. This is when Deku just grabs Kota, swings him all the way to Shigaraki, I mean, all the way to All Might, and says, well, this hasn't gone to plan. And basically just trying to brace his back for impact. Because, yeah, he's right now injured, like I said. But this is when All Might is about to grab Kota. And this is when Shigaraki says, Kurogiri, now! And basically grabs Deku and teleports him somewhere else. And this is when All Might says, no! Oh no! What have I done? I should have came here sooner. And this is when Kota's crying because he's now noticing where's his brother. All Might's trying to say that he's alright. But deep down inside, he knows that he's lying. So, I'm going to leave it off right here. I'm actually going to put down a poll. Do you guys want Deku to be changed or not changed? I will actually let you guys pick. You don't know what I'm going to change him to, but just to let you know, he's going to be changed. So anyway, I'm going to leave it off here, people. Like, comment, do subscribe to the channel here, people. This has been the Fallout with a Fear. Bye.